I first stood in this pulpit 2 years ago for In-Gathering Sunday in August of 2013. I looked around that day and I saw a sea of faces, none of which I knew. They were all unfamiliar to me. After the service, as I stood in the doorway here and shook hands as you exited, many of you took my hand warmly, looked me in the eyes and said, "We're so glad you're here." What a wonderful welcome that was. I really felt warmly welcomed. And I've since learned that you give such a warm welcome to all who come through your doors. And now, standing here, I look around and I feel I know you. Not all of you, of course, because it's a large congregation and new people keep coming, thank goodness. But so many of you, I've had the opportunity to get to know a little, some better than others. But it's been a wonderful ride, and it feels sad to finally know you and to have to say goodbye. Yet this was the arrangement from the beginning. This goodbye was there from the start. It helps to give an interim ministry its effectiveness. So let's allow the sadness while not wishing it was otherwise. Let's celebrate the relationship that we still have today. At my last meeting with the Adult Religious Exploration team, which was this past Monday night, Bill Kramer, today's liturgist, gave me a goodbye gift. As he handed me this bag across the table, I thought, ooh, how thoughtful. He's giving me a bottle of wine. And then I opened it, and I pulled out the bottle, and this is what I found. Bill had noticed, as others of you have, that I'm a Pepsi drinker. And what I have learned in my time here is that this is a Coca-Cola tap. I have seriously felt like an outlaw. Not only have I had a hard time finding my Pepsi, but I have gotten the message that it is unethical to drink and serve Pepsi in Atlanta. I'm a Pepsi gal in a Coca-Cola town. If I were to stay, I would probably have to start drinking Coke. And I just don't know that I could do that. I'm too old to change. So, you know what I'm doing? I'm going to the state that produces Pepsi. Now, I'm sure you all know where I'm going because you all read my column in the most recent newsletter, right? Yeah. So, for those who missed it, I am going to be the interim minister at the First Unitarian Society of Ithica, New York. It's a congregation of about 330, and I'll be the sole minister. There is an extremely competent administrator with a delightful sense of humor who has been in the position for 20 years. And I had the pleasure to meet him and spend some time with him at the General Assembly in Portland just a couple of weeks ago. And there are other people on the staff who I'm still looking forward to meeting. And yes, as many have pointed out, it will be cold in and plenty of snow. But I still have all my wool sweaters and my cross-country skis and my winter boots. And though I prefer your warmer climate I can deal with cold and snow. I've done it all my life until I came here, and I can do it again. I'll just have nice dreams about Atlanta. Ithica is a super cool college town, home to Cornell University and Ithica College. The church is in an old stone building in the heart of downtown, just a block from the Moosewood restaurant, whose vegetarian cookbook made such a splash some 20 or 30 years ago. I'll be living 6 miles out in a converted old barn with an amazing view. And the owners, members of the congregation, live just a half mile down the road, where they farm with draft horses. Yeah, cool. Many of you have asked how I can do interim work, always being temporary, moving on every 2 years. And I admit I feel a little like a nomad with no real home. I've said before that home is where the stuff is. There's really nothing to tie me down, except a heck of a lot of stuff. And I'm getting ready to move all that stuff once again. But there is a gift to this nomadic lifestyle as well. Joy is intensified by an awareness that it won't last. And of course, nothing lasts. We are mortal beings in a universe whose nature is change. We yearn for stability, for predictability. The loss that accompanies change can be painful. It pains me to leave you, whom I have come to love. And yet, neither the pain nor the leaving diminish the love, nor the joy we can have in being together today. On the contrary, if we can get past wishing it were otherwise and simply accept what is and what must be, the sadness and the joy intermingle in what is in a poignancy that helps us be more alive. Awareness that the dance must end allows us to dance with more abandon. I officiated a memorial service yesterday for a long-time member of this congregation. And I shared an affirmation I use often in memorials. It goes like this: we didn't ask to be born. We do not ask to die. Whatever comes before or after, this interval between is what we have. It is our time. May we here and now resolve to live a little more closely to our values, to care a little more deeply for others, to risk a little more often. And on this day, may we tell someone very clearly that they are valued and they are loved. When Don asked me some time ago what my favorite song is so he could use it in the service, it was hard for me to think of just one song when I love so many. So one day I pulled out my Rise Up singing book, which, if you don't know, it has hundreds of folk songs, and I love folk songs. And I came up with a song today, because not only do I really like it, but I feel it speaks to the impermanence of interim work and of life. You'll hear him sing it later, but here's how the refrain goes. Today, while the blossoms still cling to the vine, I'll taste your strawberries, I'll drink your sweet wine. A million tomorrows shall all pass away, ere I forget all the joy that is mine today. It will be a long time indeed before I forget my time here. It has been a valuable and enjoyable experience for me. You have given me many gifts, and I am grateful. First and foremost, you have shown me a model of a healthy, vibrant, large congregation. You have so many things going on here that there is surely something for everyone. You have so many people pitching in to make these good things happen, too. And here are just a few of the things that you, as a congregation, do especially well. And any newcomers here today, take note, because this is a fine place to be and to stay. You have really high-quality worship. You have excellent music. Your fine art gallery and theater have recently been rebooted after the retirements of the individuals who had been leading them for decades. You have an outstanding lay ministry program, and I have had the pleasure and the honor to be able to work with this program and these fine volunteers for both of my 2 years here. You have a commitment to being an anti-racist, anti-oppressive, multicultural community. This plays out in the formation since I arrived of the Interculture team, which is helping all of us become more aware of the ways in which we might participate in an often oppressive status quo and how we might change. It plays out in the board and the staff considering each time they meet how they have addressed these concerns in the course of their meeting. This commitment plays out in many other ways as well, too many to mention. And I'm actually missing right now the pictures that usually line the walls up here that show the diversity within this congregation. I'm sure they'll be back. You do governance well. With all that is going on here, there has to be some infrastructure to coordinate it all and to make sure that the congregation continues to live out its mission and work toward ends that support that mission. Just as in our nation, this congregation separates the executive from the legislative functions. The legislative function is performed by a board that sets policy and makes sure that the congregation is making progress towards its ends. You have some amazing people serving on your board. I hope you know that. They are super competent, they are devoted to this work, and they're really interesting people to do. The executive function is the ministry of the congregation. And it centers around your senior minister, Reverend Anthony Makar. Reverend Makar is ultimately responsible for everything that goes on here in this model, though he has staff and many, many volunteers to help do the work. But that's a lot on his shoulders. You might just massage those shoulders now. It's a sign of health and forward thinking that we had 2 consultants visit this year to observe and offer feedback as to how we can do governance and stewardship even better. The board and Reverend Makar have already put together a model to adjust the way they relate moving forward that takes these recommendations into account. You also have a long-range plan that was developed before I came. It was developed with lots of congregational input and very good process. And you know what's the amazing thing about it? It's being used. It's not sitting on a shelf somewhere collecting dust. My first year, we were working on year 2 of the implementation plan of this 5-year long-range plan. Now we're heading into year 4, and there's already talk of what is next. This is downright admirable. I mentioned stewardship, and I want to say a little more about it. This is one area where I have seen great people working with great ideas and large teams of helpers for extended periods of time, and still the congregation has been unable to really meet all its goals. I'm talking money here, just to be clear. This is something every congregation struggles with. But I think this large congregation has special difficulties because there are so many people on the periphery of congregational life who may not realize the level of financial contribution it takes from even them to sustain this life-changing institution. I implore you to contribute to the best of your ability when it is your month in the new year-round stewardship model. Another thing you do well is social justice. I had the opportunity to work with this area in my first year, and I formed a social justice coordinating team to help us get a handle on the many, many groups and activities within this congregation that are working to make the world a better place. There are too many to mention them by name, but they are a beautiful way this congregation is living out its faith. I haven't experienced another congregation with such active and diverse social justice programming, even when you take size into account. It's really phenomenal. And there are many great things about your religious exploration program. Lifelong, children all the way through to adults. You have good staff and volunteer teams overseeing it, and there are many wonderful experiences in the classrooms for the children, youth, and adults. The concern I have is that it isn't being made a priority in terms of attendance by participants or in terms of volunteering to guide the classes, especially for the little ones. Regular attendance is key to getting kids connected so that they want to keep coming. They make friends here, and then they have this community that can be really important in their lives. But if they only come now and then, they don't build that up. And that goes for you adults too, you know. As for volunteers, I made a desperate plea at the end of last week's service, and we got a number of names on the sign-up posters I so lovingly created, with the help of Tiffany, our communications and marketing specialist. So thank you to all of you who signed up last week. And for those of you who weren't here, you know those rainbow-colored posters, big posters out in the lobby? If you haven't seen them or noticed them, go check them out after the service. They have spaces for all the volunteers we need for the coming church year, and that'll take us all the way through May of next year. And my goal was to have every space filled with a name before I leave. Well, guess what? Today is my last Sunday. So you've got to get out there today and sign up. You don't want me to feel like a failure, do you? So it's an important ministry. And it takes all of us pitching in. But finally, I need to compliment you on your paid staff. We've had a bit of turnover on the administrative side while I've been here, but the current bunch of people that work here are about as good as they get. It's been a joy working with them all, and I hope that if you can't get to know each of them personally, you can at least know that this congregation is being well served by them. They are worth every penny you pay them and then some. This interim position has been my opportunity to try out associate ministry. It has been everything I had hoped it would be. It has been wonderful not only having a large staff to work with, but a colleague. The opportunity to work with Reverend Makar is one of the greatest gifts you have given me. I have been constantly impressed with the ideas he keeps churning out, and with his ability to be understanding of many points of view and yet have a clear vision of what the best way forward is. I have learned so much by observing him and by being in a close working relationship with him. You don't find many ministers who are equally good at the preaching, the pastoral, and the administrative aspects of ministry. But you've got one here. Consider yourselves blessed.
Amen.
In closing, I wish you blessings for the journey as we go our separate ways. May you continue to grow in warmth and friendliness. May you continue to expand your understanding of multiculturalism and ways you can affect change. May you continue to do good works in the Atlanta metropolitan area, in the state of Georgia, in the nation, and in the world. May you deepen your understanding of Unitarian Universalism and your own faith, taking advantage of the new emphasis on that in the adult RE program. May you tell your friends and your co-workers about this great congregation, and may it grow to serve ever more people who need our saving message of inclusion and unconditional love. And so ends the dance we've been doing together. Usually, at the end of a contra dance, you know I'm a contra dancer, usually at the end of a dance I curtsy to my partner. But today, I feel the appropriate gesture is namaste, which in essence says, the divine in me bows to the divine in you.
Jane, will you come up here, please? We build on foundations we did not lay. Grateful for our past and hopeful for our future, we give and serve today. It's in the front of your order of service. Jane, you've been a part of the giving and serving for the past 2 years. And we are grateful for you. You are a Pepsi person in a Coca-Cola town, and you have fit in and have done wonderful work. And this congregation loves you. You heard their standing ovation for you. And it's so wonderful to hear your love for this congregation. And that love doesn't change, even as you go to Ithica, and you will love on them, and they will love you, and they will continue to do wonderful ministry there. So, a little something to express this congregation's love for you and appreciation for you, and also the staff. Yes, please. I did not wrap it. The man who wins every sock contest. Get another bottle of Pepsi.
It says, you'll be missed around here. Someone else will do your job, but no one can take your place. From the UUCA staff and the congregation.